Secretary Vilsack will share some about this very shortly. Second, we're strengthening rules to protect farmers, ranchers, and other producers. For example, the Department of Agriculture is rewriting the rules under the Packers and Stockyard Act, which was a law back in the 20s that was needed at that time and still needed to protect farmers and ranchers from abuse by processors. The last administration weakened that law, making it possible for the abuse that we're seeing now. We're going to strengthen the law to make sure it works as intended. Third, the United States government, my administration, will enforce existing competition laws vigorously and fairly. My executive order on competition established a whole-of-government approach to increasing competition. And our new White House Competition Council, chaired by the head of my National Economic Council, including members, and Brian is here today, including members of the cabinet and other key agency officials like the Secretary of Agriculture, the Attorney General, the Secretary of Labor, the head of the Federal Trade Commission. They're all there to make sure that antitrust laws are enforced across the board. Today, the Justice Department and the USDA announced a joint initiative to make it easier for farmers and ranchers to report potentially illegal practices in the agricultural sector. Attorney General Garland will discuss this more. Fourth, we're bringing greater transparency to the industry. A free market isn't truly free without transparency around prices. How do you justify the price? And right now, that's largely disappeared in the cattle market transparency. Back in August, the Department of Agriculture took steps to address this, and we're going to keep pushing. And I'm pleased to see that Congress is taking action as well to increase competition and fairness, with a bipartisan group of senators now working on legislation to make cattle markets more transparent. And all these issues are areas where we can and we must come together in a bipartisan way. And I'm grateful to the members of the Democratic and Republican members of Congress for being willing to come to the table. Senator Jon Tester and Senator Grassley of Iowa, Tester's from Montana, have been leaders in this effort. And I'll be inviting a bipartisan group to come together to discuss how we can make progress legislatively as well as they're proposing, even as we continue doing everything we can on the executive branch side. Strengthening competition is good for all of us. Farmers and ranchers deserve a fair shake. American families facing high prices at grocery stores deserve a fair price to put food on the table. Rural communities, which see more good jobs when there's more competition. And our economy as a whole, as we make our food supply chains more resilient. I'm looking forward to hearing from the farmers, ranchers, and processors joining us today. We're going to ensure that you have the tools you need on the level playing field you deserve. And we're going to fight for fair prices for American farmers, ranchers, and families, all three. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Secretary Vilsack. Tom, the floor is yours.
Mr. President, thank you very much. And certainly as I traveled around the country, I've heard sad stories of farmers and farm families who've had to leave this business because of a lack of competition. Your executive order on competition challenged us at USDA to take immediate action and to develop a set of tools to expand processing capacity, increase competition, improve farm income, and create good-paying jobs in rural America. And we went to work. And because of your American Rescue Plan, we have the resources to be able to do meaningful work, committing over $1 billion, broken down as follows. $100 million is going to be utilized to reduce the cost of inspections for existing small and very small processing facilities. This is going to help us maintain the capacity we have. $32 million in grants were awarded to 167 existing facilities to modernize their operations, to allow them to expand their opportunities beyond the state border to engage in interstate commerce. This is going to expand market opportunity and income opportunities for these processors. $100 million in available loan guarantees to address the middle-level supply chain challenges that this industry faces, from cold storage, warehousing, and also allowing these facilities to expand their operations as well. We believe this $100 million will leverage nearly $1 billion of billion of investment. And the announcement today we make is an $800 million commitment of grants and loans to address capacity, workforce, and innovation challenges the industry faces. We're going to make available, Mr. President, $375 million in grants for expanded facilities and new construction of new facilities. Now, we want to get to work right away because farmers have been waiting a long time for this help. So $150 million of this resource is going to be made available under a request for proposal that we'll file this spring. These resources will be made available to projects that are just about ready to get going, but just need a little bit of help to accelerate the implementation plan. So this $150 million, we believe, will help to sponsor at least 15 new projects that will complement, expand along the 50 facilities that you mentioned earlier that the major 4 companies currently have. So it's a significant step forward. $225 million of grants will then be made available this summer for products and for projects that are just getting started, that are on the in the infant stage. Our phase 1 goal, as I indicated, is 15 projects. Additional $275 million, Mr. President, is going to be provided to our lending partners to create more affordable loans and financing available for facilities that are being built. Even if we build more facilities, we also need a trained workforce, Mr. President. And so $100 million of this resource is going to be used to support and to create a pipeline of well-trained and experienced workers so that we can expand this workforce in rural America. These will be good-paying jobs that will support families and also support farm families, Mr. President. And then $50 million of it is going to be utilized for technical assistance and research. We're going to need a lot of innovation in this industry. We're going to need new business models. We're going to need new ways of innovation and technology to create greater efficiencies. Also working on a voluntary label program called Product of the USA to allow consumers to know exactly where their resources, their consuming dollar is being spent. We think this is going to better inform consumers in making choices. And we're looking forward to the creative partnership that we have with the Department of Justice, a strong working relationship in terms of enforcement. Mr. President, what this really is all about at the end of the day is improving farm income. It's about creating good-paying jobs in rural America that are so necessary. It's about giving the consumers choice.
Mr. Secretary, for the tremendous engagement our teams have had over the past year on our shared competition and regulatory concerns. The Justice Department takes very seriously our responsibility to share with our partners across the federal government to protect consumers, safeguard competition, and ensure economic opportunity and fairness for all. Over the past 10 months, we've stepped up our efforts to ensure competition and counter anti-competitive practices across all sectors, from airlines to insurance brokers to book publishers. And we will continue to vigorously enforce our antitrust laws, no matter the industry, no matter the company, and no matter the individual. The work that we do, especially the work that we do together to ensure competition in our economy, has a direct impact on the lives of the American people every single day. When we talk about promoting competition in the agricultural sector, we are talking about whether a farmer or a rancher will be paid a fair and competitive price for their goods and labor. When we talk about protecting consumers in this context, we are talking about whether food will be affordable for everyone in America. The Justice Department's Antitrust Division has been active in implementing the sound policy measures suggested in the President's executive order on promoting competition in the American economy. We have closely supported USDA's rulemaking efforts under the Packers and Stockyards Act, a law that Congress passed 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago, to deal with many of the very same problems we still have today. Today, we are announcing a new joint initiative to better coordinate efforts between USDA and DOJ. This will include the launch of a centralized, accessible portal, a one-stop shop, to report complaints of potential violations of our competition laws, including the Sherman and the Clayton Act, as well as the Packers and Stockyards Act. The joint channel that we are establishing will allow USDA and DOJ to collaborate early on on how to appropriately address such complaints. Where complaints relate to antitrust violations, whistleblowers will be protected in many cases by the new employee and contractor anti-retaliation protections, which Congress passed in 2020. Let me say in closing that anti-competitive practices in agriculture, as in any industry, hurt the American people, producers, consumers, and workers alike, and they hurt the American economy. Too many industries have become too consolidated over time. Too many companies have